The loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. Sometimes the quietest person holds the most power, while everyone else is trying to be noticed. They simply observe, they listen, they understand, because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And once you understand the hidden power of silence, you'll never see quiet people the same way again. Most people think power comes from speaking first, but real power often comes from listening. Every conversation reveals something about the people around you. The more others speak, the more they expose their emotions, intentions, and weaknesses. Silent people don't rush to fill every pause. They pay attention, collect information, and make better decisions because they observe before they react. People often mistake silence for weakness, but confidence rarely needs constant attention. The people who command the most respect aren't always the ones speaking the loudest. They're the ones who stay calm under pressure, choose their words carefully, and never feel the need to prove themselves. Real confidence speaks through actions, not endless conversations. When you react to everything, you give other people control over your emotions. Silence changes that. It creates space to think before responding, making your decisions calmer and wiser. Instead of acting on impulse, you stay in control. And in a world where most people react instantly, self-control becomes a rare form of power. People naturally become curious about those who don't reveal everything. When you constantly explain yourself, there's little left to discover. But when you speak with purpose and stay silent when words aren't needed, others begin paying closer attention. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity often leads to respect. One of the strongest habits you can develop is knowing when not to respond. Not every criticism deserves your attention, and not every argument deserves your energy. Sometimes, silence is the clearest message you can send. It shows maturity, emotional strength, and the confidence to walk away from what doesn't deserve your peace. The most powerful people rarely feel the need to dominate every conversation. They know that words lose value when they're used carelessly. Instead of speaking to impress others, they wait for the right moment and say only what truly matters. That's why, when they finally speak, people naturally stop and listen. Most people reveal who they really are when you stop interrupting them. The longer they speak, the more they expose their habits, emotions, and intentions. Silence becomes a mirror that reflects the truth. Instead of guessing what someone is like, you simply watch, listen, and let their own actions answer every question. Manipulative people depend on emotional reactions. They expect you to argue, defend yourself, or lose control. But when you stay calm and choose silence instead, you take away the power they were hoping to use against you. Sometimes, your silence says more than the perfect comeback ever could. Every unnecessary argument costs you something. It steals your focus, your emotions, and your peace of mind. Silent people understand that energy is limited, so they spend it wisely. They choose meaningful conversations instead of endless debates, protecting their mind from distractions that add nothing to their lives. Silence makes some people uncomfortable because they can't predict what you're thinking. When you don't react immediately, you become harder to manipulate. They start questioning themselves instead of controlling you. In many situations, staying silent gives you more power than saying the perfect words ever could. Silence is powerful, but staying silent all the time isn't wisdom. Truly confident people know exactly when to speak and when to listen. They don't interrupt, but they also don't stay quiet when something important needs to be said. Their words are rare, thoughtful, and impossible to ignore. The more comfortable you become with silence, the less you depend on other people's approval. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself, prove your worth, or win every argument. Confidence grows in quiet moments because that's where you learn to trust yourself instead of chasing validation from everyone else. There's one mistake many quiet people make. They confuse silence with avoiding every difficult conversation. Remaining calm is strength, but avoiding problems out of fear is not. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is speak honestly, even if your voice shakes. Silence should be a choice, never a hiding place. The strongest silence doesn't come from fear. It comes from control. When you choose not to react, not to argue, and not to waste your energy, you become impossible to provoke. That's when silence transforms from a habit into a quiet form of strength that few people truly understand. The more you talk, the easier it is for people to ignore your words. But when you speak less, every sentence carries more weight. People begin paying attention because they know you don't speak just to fill the silence. Your words become intentional, memorable, and powerful. A quiet mind sees what a noisy mind misses. When you stop reacting to every distraction, your thoughts become clearer and your decisions become wiser. Silence creates space for focus, creativity, and self-awareness. That's why many of a history's greatest leaders valued moments of complete silence before making important decisions. Remember this. Silence isn't about saying nothing. It's about knowing that not every thought needs to become words, and not every challenge deserves your reaction. The strongest people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who stay calm when everyone else loses control. Master your silence, and you'll master your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately, your life.